Have you ever thought about walking as something more than just, well, getting from point A to point B? What if I told you that this super simple act, something we do every day, actually holds the key to our physical health, our mental clarity, and maybe even our spiritual wisdom? Today, we're going to dive into a fascinating text called the Padel Puran, the lore of walking, to uncover a philosophy that sees walking as a fundamental part of life itself. So let's just start with the main event, the core message of this whole thing. It's not just a nice little suggestion, it's a huge declaration. Walking itself is life. That one idea right there is meant to completely reframe how we think about this everyday activity. All right, so to really get our heads around this, here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with a quick intro to the Padal Puran, then we'll look at how it balances the body and mind. After that, we'll see why it's called the Path of the Wise, get into the nitty-gritty of how and how much to walk, and then we'll talk about taking that very first step. So, what is the Padal Puran exactly? Well, you can think of it as a guide to rediscovering a forgotten superpower that every single one of us has. The text basically argues that we've completely overlooked the immense power hidden in the simple act of just putting one foot in front of the other. The text uses this really powerful analogy to make its point. It says that for us humans, our feet are just as essential as wings are to a bird. They aren't just there for getting around, they're fundamental to our very nature, our well-being. It's a beautiful way to think about how we're designed, isn't it? And that idea naturally leads us to the real-world benefits. See, the pedal Puran doesn't see walking as just exercise. No, it's the ultimate tool for creating perfect harmony between our physical body and our mental state. And the text presents us with a really clear choice. It's black and white. On one side, you have a life of inactivity, which it says leads to things like irritability, obesity, and disease. But on the other side, the path of walking offers balance, control over your health, and this deep sense of strength. It's a pretty stark contrast when you see it laid out like that. So what are the actual physical benefits we're talking about? Well, the list is long. The text claims walking helps control your sugar levels, it strengthens your lungs and heart, improves digestion, purifies your blood, and even makes your bones stronger. It's basically presented as the foundation for all-around physical health. But here's the thing, it doesn't stop with the body. The mental benefits are just as huge. According to the text, walking regularly leads to better sleep, it cuts down on that feeling of irritability, it sharpens your mind, boosts your self-confidence, and maybe the biggest one of all, it strengthens your willpower. It's a workout for your brain just as much as your body. Now, this all connects to a much deeper, more ancient idea. The text links walking to the Ayurvedic principles of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. You can think of these as the three fundamental energies that are believed to govern our bodies. And it claims that walking is one of the absolute best ways to keep these three forces in perfect balance, which is a huge deal in traditional Indian medicine. Okay, and this is where we take a really interesting turn. The Paidal Puran elevates walking from just a health practice to a spiritual and philosophical one. This is what it calls the Path of the Wise, and it suggests that the greatest minds throughout history totally understood the true power of walking. And listen to this claim, because this one really got me. The text says that for the ancient rishis, the great sages and seers, their highest form of yoga, their most profound spiritual practice, was simply to walk. Not some complicated posture, but just the steady, simple rhythm of a journey on foot. And the text doesn't just say this, it backs it up with these powerful stories from the culture. It points to Sri Ram's 14 years of walking through the forest or the Pandavas' lifelong journey on foot as prime examples of walking being a path to achieving incredible things. It's literally woven into the fabric of these epic tales. And this isn't just limited to one tradition. The text makes a point that so many of the world's greatest thinkers and philosophers were just avid walkers. It suggests there's this direct link between the movement of our feet and the movement of our minds, where walking actually becomes the engine for inspiration and deep thought. All right, so we get the why, but what about the how? That's what this next part is all about. It gives us practical advice straight from the text on how we can actually bring this philosophy into our everyday lives. Here's a super simple, totally memorable rule. The text recommends taking exactly 300 steps after every single meal. This one little thing is said to help with digestion in a big way, prevent stomach issues, and even help you live longer. I mean, that's something anybody can start doing like today. The guide also lays out a kind of simple daily ritual. First, it suggests walking barefoot on stones to really get your circulation going. Second, walking for an hour in the sunlight is specifically mentioned as a way to fight diabetes. And finally, it recommends massaging your feet at night to help them recover and get ready for the next day. And check this out. The text even offers a really unique biological reason for all these benefits. It talks about these micropumps in the soles of our feet. According to the source, the pressure from walking activates these tiny pumps, which then help push blood to every single organ and cell in the body. How cool is that? So, we've gone through the what, the why, and the how. And that brings us to the most important part of all, your first step. Because this isn't just about starting a new exercise routine, it's about embracing a whole new philosophy. The call to action from the Paidal Puran is so beautifully simple and direct. Walk. Don't stop. Keep walking. And maybe the most important part, share this gift by encouraging everyone you know to walk with you. It's a message about both personal commitment and building a community. So when you boil it all down, walking is presented as this truly complete, holistic practice. It builds strength in your body, it brings clarity to your mind, and it helps you find wisdom in your spirit. All three of these huge pillars are supported by the exact same simple act. And the text leaves us with this one final, really profound question that puts the focus right back on each of us. It asks, God gave feet for walking. How will you use them? It's a challenge, it's an invitation, and it's a reminder of the incredible potential that's just waiting there in your very next step